Alright, let's talk about this game. This is Hellblade 2. Nenua's something. And it's supposed to be this game about like this girl. She has psychosis, and but she's also like she has special abilities and powers or something. And this is the second game, but from what I got from the prologue, people burned her village and attacked her village, and they killed her family. And so it's like it's a pretty sad story. But I don't know. I thought they were gonna build upon that in this game or something. This game got boring so fast. I ended up finishing it because turns out this is only a 6 hour long game, or anywhere between 4 and 6 hours depending on how you play, what you're looking for and what you're doing. But this is like an interactive cutscene that is boring. And as I mentioned, she has psychosis and like schizophrenia or whatever, so that's what those voices you hear are. And I don't have it, and I don't know, I can't tell you firsthand what it is and what it's like, but I know people who have it. But these voices, they're so annoying because, like, I guess they're there to make you feel like you are kind of going crazy during this game and experience firsthand, but they're just more annoying than actually making you think that you're crazy or insane or whatever. They're constantly narrating and saying whatever, and they're just saying nothing the whole time. But then also this game, there's combat and there's puzzles, and the voices kind of ruin the puzzles because they're already super easy, right? There's very little depth to them. Like, this is one of the puzzles I'm doing. I came here specifically because you could choose chapters, but I came here because this is one of the longer puzzle areas. But the whole way, you can't even take 2 steps into the puzzle without these voices saying, "Hey, what's going on over there? What's it, look on that ledge. Oh, maybe there's a fire. Maybe turn on the fire. Oh, she doesn't know how to turn on the fire." And then you turn on the fire. Oh, she does know how to turn on the fire. It's just like, should be quiet and let me do the puzzle at least. Like, I'd rather have them actually make me think like I'm insane and just random voices like enemies yelling or something or somebody saying something, but they're ruining the little puzzle that this game has, and they're just doing nothing the entire time aside from being annoying. And they have lame dialogue options, and it sounds just like little kids or something pointing out the obvious to everything that what you're doing. Like, look at this. Where is it? It's difficult. This and that. You have to fight. Like, it's just so bad. But the one good thing about this game is the graphics. This game and the physics and just everything about the visuals, I liked a lot. I wouldn't say this is the best visuals I've ever had in a game ever, but they're pretty high up there. I like these visuals in this game, and I think they're great. But you can't just have visuals in a game and expect it to be good. That's literally the only thing going for them in this game. Because the epilogue, even that was a little dragged out, but the epilogue was more interesting than the entire rest of the story in this game. You just go around and, I mean, this is spoilers, I guess, but you kill giants and then you just sort of, that's pretty much all you do. You don't really do anything. You're supposed to save your people, which I guess you do by fighting the giants, but I don't know, it was very indirect and it didn't feel. But this game is a little too seamless because it's, again, it's a sort of interactive cutscene. The bars are at the top and the bottom like a widescreen movie the entire time of the game, so it looks cinematic. But then there's portions of the game where you'll be climbing or running or something, and there's no button prompts anywhere. There's no menus. There's no HUDs. There's no overlays. There's nothing to tell you when you're actually playing and when you're not. And for the most part, you move, but it's either you're just walking and doing nothing, or fighting. But in some areas you'll be like climbing a mountain, and instead of it just climbing the mountain for you, which makes sense if you're just climbing and you have a cutscene of you climbing, just do the whole cutscene. But sometimes halfway up the mountain it'll stop moving, and then you have to give it a command real quick to move forward, and then it does another 10-15 seconds, and then it stops again. It's just like, just climb the mountain. Like, I don't need to put any input. And so I actually, in the beginning of the game, it's not the biggest amount of time, but I waited like 30 seconds in the beginning of the game because there was a cutscene of me climbing, and I didn't realize I was supposed to give an input because there's no way. I like seamless transitions in games where you'll have a cutscene, they walk out of a cave or something, and then you just start playing. But this game, it's too seamless to a fault, and I don't think they did it right. I mean, I guess they did it right because it's so seamless, but it's a little too much, and sometimes you're just sitting there waiting, not knowing whether or not you're watching or you're playing. And also, as I mentioned, there's like walking. Half of the game, more than half of the game probably, is just walking. And this is the pace that she runs at. Like, I'm actually doing a puzzle right now, but the whole time she's just walking and there's dialogue and you hear the voices and they're just talking. And it's too long. And the story's not that interesting for it to be this long. If it had a good story and it was fun and interesting and engaging, then I wouldn't really have much of a problem of this game being a walking simulator. But half of the time it's these voices narrating, and they say nothing. Here they're just complaining about the dark. Like, shut up! It's not even that dark. And the combat was pretty fun to start with, like the first 2-3 iterations, because it's a fixed sort of camera view and it is cinematic, and you do get to be the one fighting. So you have light attacks and you have heavy attacks, you have dodges and blocks, but that's all it is. It's very simple, and I enjoyed it at the beginning, but then after about 3 or 4 combat sections, you realize that they're all exactly the same thing, just slightly different, like, character models. Because the enemies, there's like maybe 3 variations of enemies. Some have like a battle axe, some shoot fire, some have a shield. But for the most part, you just kind of dodge, attack a little bit, attack like 5 times, and then you do an execute. And then an enemy comes in from the back, and then you turn around again, dodge, attack, execute. You look around, another one comes from the back, and you do this like 6 times per combat iteration. But it's super repetitive. I like the combat, but it's way too repetitive for this to be the only sort of interaction and actual action part that you have in this game. You end up killing like 8 of them. So like, and then another one jumps on your back, and it's the same thing. This same visual and interaction happens with every single type of enemy. And then also, another thing about the voices, they have like dialogue while you're fighting, but for every single fight, similar to the fights, all the dialogues are the same. They're like, what are they made of? Oh, they must be made of rocks. Oh, you're faster than them. You're smarter than them. It's the same dialogue every single time. And then eventually you either get a cutscene or she turns around and she's like, oh, there's no more enemies. And then you continue walking again. Then you walk for 30 minutes to an hour, and then you get another combat, and then you get a super easy puzzle that the voices just reveal for you. This game it's boring, it's repetitive. They tried to do something interesting with the whole voices, which I thought was going to be cool, but it gets just annoying over time rather than actual making you think like you're insane, which I was hoping the idea was going to go. If you're going to implement that sort of psychosis in this game, make it believable rather than just annoying you the entire game and saying dumb lines of dialogue. Also, it's a $50 game, and you get 6 hours of gameplay. I know they're charging for the budget and stuff that they use to put into the graphics, but as I said, if you're gonna give me good gameplay and combat or whatever, if you're gonna give me good content, you could make the game look like stick figures for all I care. It can be PlayStation 1 graphics, and I'd prefer it over this. Good graphics to no gameplay is pointless. Why do I want to look at something if I'm not having fun? I literally was falling asleep on stream while playing this game, and I don't think any other game has ever done that for me. I'm giving this game a 2, and I don't think anybody should play this game. It's not worth it. Especially not for 5. If you're gonna play this game, play it for free. Get it on Game Pass or something. It's on Game Pass. That's the only reason I played it. But don't pay for this game. This game is not worth